Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special interview of the Neil Haley Show with my guest, the CEO of LegalSoft Solutions, Hamid Kohan. Hamid, thanks for stopping by again. And, we last time got to really learn your story, learn about you, how you became an entrepreneur, kind of everything that's led to LegalSoft Solutions. But we didn't really get a chance to discuss as much about LegalSoft Solutions on the last episode. How are you, Hamid?
Very good. Thank you, Neil. Nice to talk to you again.
Absolutely. How did you get involved in the legal industry? Because that's where it all stems from now. After all your time in Silicon Valley, your time coming back, that you really kind of learned industries and then just really got involved in the legal industry.
Sure. So basically, I was running some other companies or in the high-tech sector, and I was asked for one of my attorney friends to sort of give my opinion about the practice and how they do things and so forth. So I went in as a sort of a friendly consultant, and this is about 7 years ago. And I looked at the practice and I evaluated everything, compared it to what we would typically do in a Silicon Valley environment where things need to be very automated, technology-driven, scalable, global, all these other things that was pretty much is standardized in the high-tech industry. And I looked at the legal industry and it was like, oh my God, this sector is about 20 years behind what typically you will see. And they're not taking advantage of any tools, automations, new marketing techniques, new case management solutions, and so forth. So that's how I got involved, and I sort of wrote my opinion about what can be done and how much improvement can be done and how much the savings will be and all of that. And I just offered that, and I sort of walked away. And then I got a response about, well, this is great, but can you help us get some of this done? And I said, okay. So we do that. So I started sort of, peeling the onion, per se, and department by department, from a lot of automations, a lot of scalability solutions, to staffing, to lead generation, case generations, and a lot of metrics. One of the big issue with the firms was not only they were set up the way they were set up, and there's no standard ways of setting up like it is in other industries. They also don't have any metrics. It's not data-driven environment. And every time I ask any kind of statistics about anything, like what is your cost of client acquisition? What's the average time to settlements? How many people is required? How much is your cost? How much is your profits? How much is any of those questions I ever asked? There was not a single answer to it. So that was alarming. So that was the biggest chunk of the problem. Is like I could not get one single answer to a standard business development question or business management question, which most industries are very familiar with already. So that's how it started.
So you basically identified that the legal industry was behind, went with your business acumen and your experience in business and looked at specifically what problems needed solutions.
Right, exactly. And then sort of wrote a plan on how to make these changes and how to implement them. So it started with we reduced, like in the first 6 months, reduced the cost of operation by 30%. Because there were too many people touching a case, basically, and being involved. So it didn't need it. And then setting up, technologies to streamline the pre-litigation process, litigation process. So that took a few months. And then identifying all the sources where they need to work with to generate the cases and understand the cost of the case generation. That was the biggest challenge, is to know. It's like in any industry, it doesn't matter if it's retail, wholesale, services, anything like that. You always need to know how much is the cost of goods, per se. the cost of goods in the legal industry is that how much did it cost me to retain this one client? And nobody knew.
It's crazy because they're just used to, in a lot of ways, they're used to the old school way of, hey, you know what? We're going to retain a client. We're going to find them because they're going to contact us. And we're not going to have a business mind of how much profit they're throwing lots of money out the window. They're spending on. They have no idea what they're doing because they're focused in their expertise, which is legal.
Right.
And they really didn't have any of the ideas of how to run a business. And
exactly.
that's what makes you such a great person to be in the legal industry, because you're understanding the legal industry, you're understanding the problems, how to make those solutions, and then how to make them profitable. Because the word profitable, lots of businesses don't know how to become profitable, right? And you learn in Silicon Valley that you better become profitable or you're not going to survive, and how competitive it is.
Exactly. That's how it all sort of began, to understand the cost, understand the operation, understand the ROI, and be able to manage and scale. So that was the first part of it. And when I did this, sort of after a few months, the word got around that there's this Hamid guy doing this thing, and nobody was sure what the thing was, but it was like he did the thing. So I started getting called from a variety of different law practices saying that, can you come and take a look at what we do and how we do it and so forth. So that's how they sort of expanded out. But getting back to like the problem statements, as we always learn in the Silicon Valley in the high-tech industry, is like you always start with the problem statement and then what's the solution. So problem statement was, we don't know the cost of goods, we don't know the cost of operation, we don't know our scalability or growth path, and we don't know how much money we need to budget for a variety of different activities. So I went through that whole process. So within the year, we sort of 30-40% reduced the cost of the operation. And in 1 year, we doubled the firm, basically incoming and retained clients. In 1 year, we doubled it and reduced the cost of client acquisition by 50%. Wow. But it was all systematically, and then creating a KPIs to be able then, after this is done, to be able to manage and track and see, where you need to be on the budget, on the spendings, on the case generations, and so forth. So that's how I went about. And then it went from one firm to 2 to 5 to 10. And then I figure out, no, well, I can't do this alone. So I start hiring staff to designate to help in each sector, from the marketing, from client generations, to automations, to coaching. And we expanded on that. We created the company around it. So during this process, COVID happened halfway through this, and then the staffing became a much bigger problem. So we said, look, if we can't get people in the US to come to the office, finding reasonable skill set with a reasonable cost to come to the office and do a reasonable amount of work is becoming impossible. So we start going out and looking at other sources in other countries. And so we start basically recruiting, training, deploying, and placing and managing virtual legal staff from 8 countries into the firms in the US. So that became a big sector of what we do and how we do it, and is the fastest growing part of the business. And it covers law firms from solo practitioners to nationwide practices. And it's highly scalable. We work with about 600 law firms. We have over 1,000 agents in these law firms that they do the work. And it averages about 4 virtual staff per law firm, which is pretty significant.
Now,
so that's how the company became the LegalSoft.
See, I think this is fabulous, because you first figured it out. You helped a lot of these law firms through your coaching, and then you expanded the business. You didn't start, a lot of people start a business, expand quickly, and then try to provide the solutions for everybody. You really learned from what works and what doesn't work by doing the consulting work and doing it, and then expanding the business when you saw that this was really working. You didn't just say, hey, I have this idea, I'm just going to do it. A lot of
Right.
entrepreneurs make that mistake, don't they? They say, I have
Absolutely.
an idea, I'm going to do it without testing it.
Exactly. This is why we learn in the business school is to, you need to start with a problem statement, and you need to be as specific as possible. What is exactly the problem you're trying to solve? So, and it applies to everything, even on any kind of a business, any kind of a relationship, everything you do, you got to start with a problem statement. What is specifically the problem that I'm trying to solve? And then you break down the solutions and the time of implementation and the cost and the resources to get the problem solved. So if you identify a problem and you provide a solution, your chance of success is very good.
So the thing is, once you had the idea, how did you know that the legal industry needed a solution like yours by providing all of these amazing things that you built? How did
Because
you
I
know
thought originally that this might be a one law firm issue. And when I started going to 5, 10, 20 different law practices, I said, boy, it looked like everybody copied each other in the wrong way. Everybody, somebody set it up, I wouldn't say inefficiently, and then everybody else sort of followed that and set it up the same way that John was. And then I thought maybe it's only in this type of practice area. Maybe it's just personal injury that is set up like that. Then I started venturing out into employment, labor, workers' comp, consumer protection, all of that. And I said, no, this is a common problem with all the firms because there has never been a recipe to set up a law practice in the past. Everybody winged it. It's not like a process or procedure or expertise or a specific company that, like in the franchise model, when somebody wants to open up a Burger King, they give them basically a recipe, and then in 6 months, they give them a key to their Burger King, and everybody knows what to do, or any kind of insurance agents, CPAs, right. Everything like sort of have a recipe of where to start and where to go. Legal industry doesn't have that. And the people who go to law school, I have 2 kids in law school myself, they don't teach them anything outside of law. And then you expect these people to at someday operate a law firm or create a law firm. They have no training and no education on setting up a business, basically. So from that, you get to here, where everybody sort of did what they knew how, or they didn't know how.
I love this tagline on your website, grow law firms differently. I guess you kind of explain why it's different, but how did you come up with a tagline like that? Because that tagline's powerful, because so many people are going to hire an SEO expert, or they're going to go and do a bunch of networking events to grow a practice. They don't understand that the operation, it's all encompassing. If you don't have an operations side to the business, you don't have a lead generation side of the business, if you're not able to contact people, if you're not able for them to find out who you are and then be able to go after those leads and close those leads and find the right clients for you, you're going to not survive and you're not going to profit. So I just love this tagline. And how did you envision that?
Yeah, it's actually a teamwork on that came about with it differently, because it is we always, when we engage with a law firm, we don't say, okay, this is a one size fit all, do A to Z and you got it going. We customize the implementation. Is it being the online presence, the marketing techniques, the operation, the procedures, the workflow process, everything is customized, right? So when you're customizing, it is different than one you did yesterday. And we are very against of just, unify the entire process for everybody. The size of the firm, the practice type, the state they're in, the culture of the founders and the partners and so forth, everything makes an impact on the implementation of how to grow your law practice. Different budgets, different preferences, all of that. So that's what we came up with it differently, because we don't want all of them to look like the same. It's not a McDonald's franchise, where every McDonald's has to look the same, operate the same, food has to taste the same, price needs to be the same. It's not like that. Law practice needs to be customized. And that's why I say scale it differently and grow it differently. It's almost the same thing where I had the title of my book, how to grow your stupid law firm. And everybody asks, wow, that's bold. How did you come up with the word stupid for the title of the book? And I said, look, when I did my first consultings, the first 20 law firms that I was engaged with, the most common word was used in describing different elements of the firm was a stupid. It's like my stupid intake, my stupid accounting, my stupid marketing, my stupid process. And it resonated with me. And when I was writing a book, it says, boy, everybody referred to everything as a stupid this and a stupid that. So that pretty much makes a stupid law firm that we can fix and scale and grow it differently. So it starts from that and then goes to, stupid law firm, let's grow it differently, let's scale, and let's make it successful.
No, and that's so important that you look at this in the customized thing. I want to touch on that in another interview, because customization, lots of companies do not customize, especially in marketing. They create it out, and that's where I'll go into it further. But we want to summarize all 4 services you provide, but we're going to go deeper into each one of those services on another podcast, because this education is so important for people, because a lot of times companies aren't able to explain things in such a detailed way so that they understand what the solution is in every one of them. So let's start with virtual staffing, kind of define how you stay ahead of the curve in virtual staffing compared to other law firms that don't. Yeah.
So a lot of it has to do with the talent acquisition, how we find our talent, how we screen them. And that's what makes a big difference upfront, just like you would do locally, you want the best talent recruited possible. And then right after that is the extensive training. Our training model, it is developed by the US-based attorneys and legal staff for different practice type and different positions in each practice type. So we put our candidates through a training that matches what they do in the US law firms on personal injury, employment, workers' comp, family, any one of those things, we have that done. And then we also train them on the case management software that the firms use. To make sure when they get on board, they have that training done from us where they can use the system that the firm already using, the technologies that they're using, and the processes that they're using. So that's what makes us different on the onboarding of a virtual staff. On the second part, when you have one of the common issues where people who go to places like Upwork and other places to recruit virtual staff is a retention. There is no point of getting an inexpensive labor from other countries that only going to last with you 2-3 months. Is a lot of waste of time on training. So we create a huge incentive and benefit program for our virtual staff where we give them raises on our own, we give them health insurance, we give their family health insurance, we give them retirement accounts, we give them bonuses, we give them continuing training and education. So our retention rate is very high compared to anybody else in this industry because we treat them like a full-blown employee and we give them a career path. So those are some of the differentiator between what we do versus other people in this industry.
All right, let's go social media really quickly.
Social media, again, it became sort of like a, why don't we just post stuff online, which is what a lot of the attorneys are doing is just posting stuff online. We don't do that. We make it a relative information that it is engaging, it is interactive, it is both social and professional. We cover all the medias, and we do 3 to 5 posts a week that is informative and not just look what I'm eating, what I'm driving, where I'm going kind of a thing, or relaying the news. Oh, see what's happening in the news or this and that. No, we make it to the client information, which is useful for the clients to engage with and actually help the clients to be informed. So that's our social media package that we manage hundreds of law firms' social media for them very effectively.
Organic marketing, which is huge. Go ahead.
Organic marketing is an extension of the online presence where it is like you got to make sure your website is up to date, it is current, is relative, your posting on social media is great. Everybody talks about the SEO, but now with the ChatGPT and be able to do tons of blogs and videos and stuff like that, taking advantage of those technologies to build up your organic marketing and doing lots of client retention. Client retention needs to be systematic with a system to bring your old clients back and also have them refer you to their friends and family. That's part of all organic marketing.
Yeah. And lastly, law firm growth, which I see is the most important thing as a business owner, is how you help them grow that business, help them make profit and become more profitable and scale.
Yeah, that has to do with the first part of the conversation we had about how to understand where is your market, what's your cost of client acquisition, how much budget do you need in every lead generation, client generation segments you're doing, having a system in place to be able to convert those into clients, and then manage the journey of the client through the system, through your firm to profitability. So you have to have that entire system, the KPIs and the monitoring and tracking in place to be able to grow your firm. And you need a budget and you need expertise, and you can't just say, hi, John is spending like $20,000 a month doing advertising, I should do the same thing. No, you're going to waste your money because if it's not within the system with the infrastructure and properly, you're not going to be profitable on that $20,000 investment.
Looking at each investment, really teaching them how to run a business and grow a business. Wow, there's not many agencies that can do all of those, one-stop shop for everything. The best place is go to legalsoft.solutions.com. Isn't that correct?
Yes, absolutely. We can pretty much help any law firm at any practice type and any size of a practice. We can help them.
All right. Well, that was a great episode, special episode again with Hamid Kohan, CEO of LegalSoft Solutions, and look forward to another interview with him. Take care, guys.
Thank you very much.